This is the Andy Social Podcast. My name's Andy, and thank you very much for making the effort to listen to this amazing podcast show, if I do say so myself. Let's get stuck into it. So, last week you would have heard me speak with Alison Oborn, who is a tour operator that does a number of historical crime and sort of paranormal ghost tours across Adelaide, and it was the first of a few podcasts that were recorded in Adelaide a few weeks back. And for people that are tuning in for the first time, I gave myself a goal for 2017 to record a number of face-to-face podcasts, because I haven't done a lot of them. I've done a lot of stuff via Skype and WhatsApp and on the phone, and they've all been great, but I haven't really done a great deal of face-to-face podcasts, and I really want to do more of them this year. So I gave myself a goal to go to every capital city in Australia and do roughly 3 to 4 podcasts over a weekend. So I've done Adelaide. I head to Perth later this month, which will be March. And, I should do Sydney sometime because it's only just around the corner from me. Canberra's not far away, but then I've also got to do Darwin, Brisbane. I'm going back to Melbourne in late May, and I've also got to go to Tasmania, to Hobart. So I think that's everybody. Have I missed someone? I'm terribly sorry if I've neglected a capital city in Australia, but it's a fun goal. I'm looking forward to doing it. I've got quite a few flights that I still need to book and somehow find the money or get enough Virgin Velocity points up my sleeve again. I've used quite a few. And it's a lot of fun. And Adelaide was the first trial for me. It was the test. It was the dip the toe in the water to see what this is all about. And it was a successful weekend, if I do say so myself. And I'll kick in to this week's episode on that note. So the second episode of my little Adelaide stint was with a gentleman by the name of Christian Broome. Now, Christian is one of the co-owners, directors of ARMI, ARMI, which is the Australian Rock and Metal Institute. Now, you could probably think School of Rock, you could think of all these different things. I'm sure there's been plenty of movies and shows about rock schools and whatnot, but this is a legit music school that focuses primarily around rock and metal music. And it does branch off in other directions, but its main focus and passion is around these types of music. And I think for a lot of people, you probably wouldn't think it'd be the most financially viable business to create. You'd think you'd be very sort of niche market as far as that appeal. You've got to find people that want to learn music and, maybe young people, and you've got to convince their parents to let them pay money to go to a school that teaches rock and metal. A lot of parents would rather see their good money going towards a style of music that probably historically has been associated with a bit more class or a bit more credibility, classical and whatnot, some of the more classical instruments and playing, or jazz and whatnot. So it's very different and definitely a risk that was taken. So this was back in, I believe, 2012 was when when ARMI, the Rock and Metal Institute, originally started. I'm pretty sure it was 2012 off the top of my head, but it was several years ago. And now Christian and his wife Connie have built this amazing facility in the heart of Adelaide, right in the middle of Adelaide CBD, like prime real estate. And they've been there for almost 5 years. So it was January 2012 that they established ARMI. And since then they've grown. They've got a large range of customers, students that come through all the time from varying ages, from the youth, kids still in school, right up to older people and people that are well established in a whole range of careers. I wonder what a career is. Careers. He's got all sorts of different industries, people from different backgrounds who all have a very similar passion, and that's to play music and play music hard and fast. So it's pretty cool. They do. They've got dedicated tutors and teachers that specialize in drums, bass, guitar, and vocals. They also have workshops where they get artists that come through, masterclasses. They've had Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and a whole range of amazing people that have come through over the years. And they also get a number of Australian bands that pop through and do one-off shows, one-off masterclasses for their students, and it's just amazing. On top of that, they also do their own live performances with all the students in the local area. I believe they go and do shows at the Gov, which is a pretty decent venue in Adelaide. And now they're getting to a point where they've reached capacity. They're outgrowing their surroundings, and it's a pretty amazing feat considering the size of the place. It's a very, very impressive business that they've created, and now they're not only looking to expand to potentially go into a larger place or get a second office or whatnot, but they're also looking at hopefully in the near future to extend interstate to another capital city and grow the brand elsewhere. And it's just they've got big lofty goals, but the initial idea was a lofty goal as well. So the fact that they are in a position that they are now, that they can even talk about these ideas, is pretty incredible. So a lot of chin wagging from me. This is a great episode with Christian. We sat down, we had a beer. He just finished a class with a private lesson with a student who was learning some 80s rock, 80s hair metal stuff, which was pretty cool. I got to meet him. And we sat down and just had a bit of a chat and had a lunchtime beer, and it was really, really cool just to catch up. And I've known Christian for a few years now, and just get a bit more of an understanding of what his business is all about and what he's been able to achieve. And I'll tell you what, before we kick into it, and yes, I'm almost done, Christian has got the most amazing attitude towards life, and he's been through a lot in his past. He doesn't touch on it a great deal, but Christian's been in a couple of car accidents over the years, and it's at one point, or maybe on both occasions, he was told that he wouldn't be able to walk or really function in a normal way in comparison to most people. And he's ploughed through it, and all guns blazing. He's stronger than ever, and he's been able to work with what he's got, and he's just created something amazing. And his perspective on life, his work ethic, and finding fulfillment and wanting to help people. I mean, this is not just about teaching people to play. It's about giving people purpose and giving people an opportunity to do something more with something that they love, and be a part of a community of people, a family, and really making people feel accepted and wanted. Because I guess sometimes with a lot of us, and especially when you're younger, you're trying to find your way, and sometimes you feel very alone. And we've got a big problem, well, probably worldwide, especially in Western culture, but globally, with mental health and depression and all sorts of ailments. And a lot of the time it stems from our youth, and when we're going through times of growth and we just don't know where we sit in the world, we don't know where we fit, and sometimes we don't feel like we fit anywhere. So what Christian and Connie do, I keep forgetting Connie's name, have provided a haven for people. You know, it's not just a place to learn and grow as far as being a musician, but to learn and grow as a human and be a great person, and just to feel a part of something that's really, really exciting and cool. So, yes, I'm done. So we'll kick into it. All the links are at andysocial.net. I'll have everything at the end of the episode as well. But please enjoy this really fun chat with Christian Broome. So, for people that don't know you, do you want to give a little brief introduction?
Well, first of all, thanks so much for taking the time to come over here, Andy. You know, you're a legend. It's great to sit down and enjoy Bevo with you on a nice rainy Saturday afternoon in LA.
Well, I don't know what's up with the weather. It was like sunny before, so
it's crazy.
It's changed instantly, yeah.
Well, for those who don't know me, and that's not surprising, my name's Christian Broome, and I'm the owner and director of ARMI, the Australian Rock and Metal Institute here in Adelaide.
Probably the only place in Australia that does what you guys do.
The only, first and only, yeah, very proud of it.
It's such a weird, and it's probably not weird and unique now for yourself because you've been living and breathing it, but for me, and I mentioned this to you before, being at the New Dead Fest years ago and seeing you there with your banners and whatnot, my initial reaction was, oh, that's nice, probably something out of your bedroom. You get a few, like sort of like the traditional guitar teacher that gets students over to their house and does something in the front living room or whatever it might be. And then it wasn't until a little while later that I went online and had a look and thought, oh wow, this is legitimate. You guys are you're actually a full-fledged business, and you seem to be doing well. And years gone by, years past, just coming here today, it's incredible.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. We just love what we do, you know. I mean, it is being, Australia's first ever specialised heavy metal music school. We're very humbled and very proud of what we've built, along with my wife Connie and my staff. And it's just been an incredibly humbling ride that we've been on, and we just love every second of it. It's great to see it grow and thrive and being embraced.
It's I was impressed because even coming here today, I thought I might just be like one room and it's a multi-purpose room and you just sort of come and go. But you've got dedicated rooms for all the different types of tutoring and lessons that you do, and it's a great layout. It's a lot bigger than I thought. But even you saying before, like you've outgrown this already. You want to expand and make it bigger.
Yeah, we started officially open to the public in August of 2012 with just myself and 35 students, and a couple of bands I was looking after at the time. And now we're in our 5th year, so we turned 5 this year, and we've got 10 staff and over, 400 or 500 students on the books, which is absolutely incredible. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
but,
indeed. Like, especially the stigma attached to sort of hard rock and heavy metal sort of stuff. It's you just wouldn't think it'd be that popular or a viable business option.
It was definitely a risk and a punt, you know, and we definitely put it on the line to do it. And but we believed in it, we just quite honestly and genuinely wanted to help inspire as many people as we could and help them realise how special and unique they are as people and individuals.
Yep.
And help them not only with their music careers, but their lives as well. We want to be that positive influence in their life, particularly the young ones.
Yeah, definitely. Was there a initial spark that sort of sparked the idea? Was there something that happened, or what was the main, I mean, you sort of briefly touched on it then,
Sure.
but what was the main driver to turn into a reality?
Main drive, I was working for another mob in town here in Adelaide, and I was their most highly booked guitar trainer there, and unfortunately for them, and it's no disrespect to them, but they just didn't have how do you put it, the right sort of ethos to want to help their clients. It was all about money to them, and one thing I've never been about is money. I think if you're concentrating on a dollar, people can see that a mile away. You've really got to, particularly in a business like this, which is unique and fresh and obviously the first of its kind, you really need to be transparent and honest about what you want to do. But yeah, I was working for that mob, and I just had to get out of there. And I was very fortunate. Some good friends of mine from Thump Music were running a clinic with Steve Vai here in Adelaide, a masterclass, and being my all-time idol, I was obviously there with bells on, I actually had the privileged opportunity of chatting with Steve and even jamming on stage live with him that day, which, as you can imagine, like just frothing at the mouth about that one. It was a conversation, something he said to me about living your dream, and asked, what is it you've always wanted to do in your life, I thought about it for a second, and it had always been in the back of my mind, to want to do something like this. And I said to him, well, I want to open my own rock and metal school, you know, and I want to be able to inspire people and let their dreams come true. So he said, well, why don't you? And we talked about the law of attraction and a whole heap of other sort of things, speaking into existence. And I found that really inspiring. So, any of my friends, anyone who know me from back then, I was probably one of the laziest bastards you could ever meet, and, getting out of bed before midday was probably a chore, but the penny dropped, that day. I don't know, something just clicked in my brain, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And I rang my wife after getting off stage with Steve, and I said, you never believe what just happened. I said, I've just jammed with Steve Vai. She's like, piss off. You got to be joking. I'm like, no, serious. I said, I'm so excited and I'm really charged. I can't wait to get home. I want to talk to you. So we got home, and obviously after all the excitement of that wound down, we started talking about building this school. And so my wife, being a graphic designer, or trained in graphic design from school, grabbed out the sketch pad and we started sketching out. I had this idea of the name in my head and the acronym, obviously ARMI being pretty catchy, join the army and all that sort of bizzo. But she sketched it out, and there it was. There was the logo. And we just went about doing it. And I told my students what we were going to do, and off we went.
So it's, I mean, really, you've got to thank Steve Vai for getting this whole business up and
Big
running.
time. Yeah, definitely owe him a beer, or maybe a carrot juice. But
It's just incredible to see what it's become now. And
thank you.
how hard was it to? I mean, you had the idea, and you get pumped from having that moment with Steve, and obviously the idea sort of starts to brew. But how hard was it to go from that to opening the doors?
It was pretty easy transition, actually.
Yeah, right. Wow.
It's a funny thing, you know, when you start speaking things into existence, you know, and when you really change your mindset to want to achieve something like that, you find that the doorways and paths just start presenting themselves before you, you know, and that's exactly what happened. I had a friend, the very next day, actually, I spoke to a friend of mine who had a recording studio, and he offered to rent me a room, you know, to get my students out of there.
Yep.
At his, and it was at his studio. So it was basically a converted storeroom, you know, with, you know, our logo on an A4 piece of paper, blue tack to the door, you know. And I was there for 6 months, and, you know, kept growing, getting new students, of course, and unfortunately, well, kind of funny enough, and like I said, you know, things tend to happen at the right time. He was getting out of that building, so I needed to find new premises. I'd seen this premises on the internet 6 months before, so I'd already had my eye on it, and funny enough, it just happened to still be available, you know. Wow. So we went for it, you know, and it was a punt, you know. Like I said, it was just myself and 35 students, and all of a sudden we're paying this exorbitant amount of rent in the heart of Adelaide CBD.
I was going to say, for people, obviously everyone that's listening, just to give an idea of where we are, I mean, we're smack bang in the middle of Adelaide. Yeah. It's right near Rundle Mall.
Yep.
Everything like train station, public transport, everything's here. All the main music venues are all within walking distance. All the main pubs, everything is right here. And as you said before, the music stores as well, the instrument music stores are within vicinity. So it's I mean, it's prime real estate. It's incredible, especially for something like this where you would expect, if this was in Sydney, you would expect it right out in the western suburbs where it's cheap rent, because you just, I guess traditionally or stereotypically, it wouldn't be a viable business where you could afford to pay such a high amount of rent. And obviously it's cheaper in Adelaide, but still, no doubt it's pretty expensive to have an area like this, and it's a big area.
Yeah, it's a decent size, you know, and it was probably overkill when I first took it on, but we were pretty confident that it would grow. But we didn't really fathom how quickly it would grow, you know. We employed our trainers in the first instance when we took this place on, and then the phone just started ringing, you know, and the guys all before you knew it were all fully booked, and now we've outgrown it, so we need a bigger building.
Oh, it's just nuts. I mean, did you have a strategy at all when, like, you had the 35 students, you came in here? Did you have some sort of, I mean, it may have just happened naturally, but was there something in the back of your mind of a way to sort of get out to more people? Because I know that, like, I looked on your website and I'd seen it in passing different times, and the guys who sort of work with you. Yeah. But it sort of clicked that I realised how many local musos that are playing in metal bands and rock bands, and guys that I know and have known for quite a few years that are tutors, they're teachers here. So I would assume, and this is me looking from the outside, is that having those local guys in the scene that everybody knows working here would probably have a massive advantage to bring in more people.
Sure. I think when we were looking for our staff, we were straight up. We wanted a very specific type of person, you know. We weren't just looking for anybody, you know, other music schools, no disrespect to them, of course, but we'll just hire anybody, and that's fine. It works for them. That's cool. But we were really looking for not only that they'd, you know, been successful with their own music careers and were great players, but they were great people. You know, it was really, really important. I mean, there's a very big rule in this building is there's no egos. You know, that was very, very important. So I don't think if you're going to have guitar lessons, you know, you don't want to sit there watching your guitar teachers shred for half an hour and, hey, look how great I am, you know.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and many people have, you know, and we hear it all the time. But we were very much looking for that unique type of people. And I'm very pleased to say we've got the best team in Australia, hands down. Without a doubt, they're just very, very gung-ho and wanting to help people. Same
Yeah.
mindset that we are.
It's I mean, just what was the guy's name that was just here?
Daryl.
Daryl.
Yeah. Daryl Hunt, you're a champion.
Shout out to Daryl. I was just having a quick chat to him, and I said, "Oh, how long have you been coming here?" He's like, 2 years.
Yeah.
And he comes here once a week, and he was just raving about how great it is and how he used to play guitar years ago. Then, he got busy like most of us do with work and whatnot, and sort of gets put to the side. And he decided, you know what, I want to pick it back up again. And he's focusing on a lot of the 80s hair metal and
Loves
hair rock
it.
sort of stuff. So he's learning a lot of that. And just from what he said, like, he's picking up stuff that he never thought he was able to play. And so it's really cool. But obviously having the right people sitting in front of you learning something is a big thing. So I think
It is, yeah.
going back to what you said, sitting in front of like a teacher that's just shredding and just playing, or just worried about themselves. I mean, I remember that in high school. We used to go and do guitar lessons. It was me and another kid, and the guitar teacher was jazz background, but had this weird fascination with Malmsteen.
Okay.
So he didn't like metal, didn't like anything like that, but he loved Malmsteen, maybe for just more the classical side of things.
Yeah.
But massive jazz player. And so I sort of connected with him a little bit with the Malmsteen, attempted to play some riffs here and there and some stuff. And the other guy loved jazz. But the lessons were more of a case of we both sat there. We didn't pick up our guitars. All the guitars just sat on our laps with the volume off, and he just sat there and just shredded in front of us. And we'd go, "Oh, this is great!" And for the first few weeks or whatever, it was really good because we weren't in school. Got out of class, got to sit there, and even if we weren't really playing our guitars, the guy was shredding. We got to watch that. It was better than sitting there doing maths or something like that. But after a while, you sort of go, "Oh, hang on, I'm not learning anything here. And after a while, that's when the lesson stopped. You just I wasn't bragging to my parents enough to validate them paying more money, and the lessons ended. So I assume that, as you said, getting the right people in here, getting rid of the ego. You want somebody, because most people when they come in here, there's probably a bit of vulnerability where they're worried about their skill level. They don't want to show people that they can't play. They're very anxious and nervous. And if you've got somebody who's more of a show pony and wants to show off their skills, then you're probably reluctant to come back again.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, our teachers are very, very good in retaining their students. Yeah. Because they are good. Yeah. They're good people. And we say a lot to our students that you're not just joining a school, but you're joining a family. Yeah. We're here to look after you. We're here to mentor you and inspire you and nurture you. And look after you like our brothers and sisters. Yep. That's the way we treat our clients. And I think that's very, very important. Yep. And all our trainers do the same thing, So we're very engaged in helping them in not only their music, but in every aspect of their life. We help a lot of people with depression and anxiety issues, drug issues. We've saved people from drug addiction, which is great. I think that's very, very important. But yeah, I think it's been that personable, very, very personal, and being that brother that you can go and talk to, and, hey, man, I'm having this issue. Hey, let's sit down and talk about that. You okay? How can we help? And, it's a big part of it. It's, I don't know, what's the radius of your students? Are they all sort of in an Adelaide area, or are they sort of a bit more rural that come in, travel into? Well, it's surprising, actually. I mean, we obviously have the ones that are close. Because we do have the public transport and everything very, very close to us, then it's easily accessible from everyone, from every area in Adelaide. But we have students come as far as York Peninsula, which is, this 2.5 hour drive to get here. It's nuts. Why? I don't understand it, but he loves it so much that's what he does. And I'm so appreciative for that. That's cool. We definitely get people from rural areas. It's a good testimony just to show that you guys are doing the right thing if someone's willing to invest that amount of time just to get here. Just to get here. And then not to mention the 2.5 hour drive back home, that's right. That's, once a week, for an hour. It's interesting because I grew up all over the place in Queensland in a lot of sort of country towns, rural areas and whatnot, and I've always been extremely grateful to my parents that by the time I got to sort of high school, I was in Brisbane, I was in the city, and there was enough things there to keep me occupied. There was enough people doing different things that I wasn't I didn't have idle hands. I was still a handful, but I didn't go. But I didn't go down the path of crime or drugs and whatnot. And looking back at a lot of places where I did grow up younger, I can see a lot of people who stayed there, and that's the path that they took. And you sort of look and go, well, there's not much opportunity out there. I mean, what do you do?
when you're not at school or you're not working a job, you got to occupy your time with something, and most of these guys don't know any better.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Sad, isn't it? Really?
Well, it is. Yeah, and I guess it's hard because, as I said, they're not exposed to anything different. And while you're smack bang in Adelaide itself, I mean, you would still have the same challenges with a lot of young people. Is just trying to show them that there's other things that they can do with their time and something that's fulfilling. That obviously getting satisfaction to see progress, to see that they can build, and they're coming into that sort of family atmosphere as well, where they sort of feel accepted.
It's incredible. I mean, my wife Connie and I still marvel at it, and we're still in awe of it because we've been very lucky to create a community, a scene, if you will, of like-minded people that are all here to help each other, and actively getting out there and going and seeing bands and supporting local artists and international artists as well. But it's incredibly awe-inspiring to see how everyone just is banding together and becoming that big family. You know, and it's definitely a family, and definitely a brother and sisterhood here in Adelaide as far as Adelaide metal scene and rock scene goes. Take two. I've forgotten where I was going with that.
No, look. But one thing I've seen that's...
You can edit that, right, Andy?
Oh yeah, sure, no worries. I think, but you're right, and it's having that sort of family sort of vibe about the place is obviously. I mean, that's why you got 500 people on your books.
Yeah.
That's why it's so big. And I mean, it's just, I had no idea. It was incredible. I thought, you might have a small group of students that come in each week, and it's enough to keep the place afloat. But to be at a capacity now where you've just got so many people that you need to upsize to a bigger place is incredible. And, looking at the posters on the wall when you walk in of the different people that have come here, the different tours that you've been a part of, the masterclasses and whatnot, and seeing that family extend interstate, internationally as well, with some of those bigger artists, but seeing some of the guys that play in bands in Melbourne or Sydney or whatnot across the country, and they've been here, they've come through on tour and whatnot, and I know that you've reached out to us a couple of times to try and get us in before we play an Adelaide show, and you can see that whatever you're doing, it's working because it's starting to flow over into other parts of the country. So have you... I guess with the whole thing around expanding, are you looking? I mean, what's sort of the plans long term? Obviously, initially it's to find a bigger place, but have you got more grander plans?
Of course,
lofty goals.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Our plan is definitely in the near foreseeable future to be expanding into the other states. So we've had a lot of people contact us over the last few years, really wanting ARMI over there, and are you coming? When's it going to happen? Can we get Skype or something like that? But we're definitely going to be. You would definitely be seeing us in Sydney, Melbourne, Queensland, Tasmania, Perth, you name it, and then onwards and upwards. We want to go off into Asia. That's the plan, and it's like anything with this business. I never doubted it for a second that it would happen. Because we're very honest and genuine. And it comes back to that speaking things into existence again and really believing wholeheartedly that what you're doing is just. It's for the right reasons. You're not doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for anybody else other than the benefit of others.
That'd probably be a big challenge that you'll no doubt face when you start moving to, say, Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane or whatnot, where you've got to, because you can't be everywhere at once. Here you've got the benefit or the advantage of being a part of it on a day-to-day basis. It's your baby, both of you. For the two of you, it's your baby here.
It is.
And you've got that personal involvement constantly. And I guess as you branch out, you can't be everywhere at once.
Sure.
And then the whole recruitment of having the right people on board is going to be so crucial to the success of it. To be able to have that same feeling.
It is.
Whether you go to Sydney or Melbourne or here in Adelaide, it's just...
You've hit the nail on the head there. It's imperative that we do that. And like I said, I can't be in 50 places at once. But you definitely do feel that from the minute anybody walks through the door, you feel the vibe. You feel the positive atmosphere. It's in the air. You can really feel it. And to replicate that in other states is the tricky part, and hence why we're not there yet. However, it comes back to the same ethos of what we did initially when we were looking for our staff and that work here, is that we will be seeking managers, trainers that are the same ethos that we are. So I'm sure there's millions of guitar players and millions of killer drummers in Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane, and that's fantastic. It really is. But they may not necessarily get the chance to work with us for whatever reason. But it's definitely important for us to replicate it exactly the same everywhere. So you have that same positive feel and same family-orientated vibe in each and every state or country, wherever. I think, definitely being Melbourne and Sydney particularly, and I don't mean to pick on you guys, I love you guys to bits. You guys are awesome. I am a Melbourne boy originally. It will be a hard nut to crack. I think that, that's why we're very fortunate that it was being embraced here. There could have been, a million guys who go, who does this guy think he is? What a dickhead, how dare he, who does he think he's starting a metal school? Maybe, I don't know. But we've got a plan, we've got a mission, and we just want to help as many people as we can, and that's as simple as it is, and we'll do that.
It's cool, and I think the networking that you've done, whether it be intentional or not, but being at like the New Dead Fest and all these different Adelaide events around the place over the years, and being able to sort of network with a whole number of interstate bands that come through and reaching out and talking to people, that will sort of no doubt help you when it gets to that point where you actually start to make those steps to start establishing yourself in other states. You've already got a group of people that potentially you can lean on, or at least get some guidance from, or potentially even become involved with.
That's imperative. Absolutely imperative for us. Particularly when you talking about New Dad, and someone that has, I hold in the highest of regard and have a lot of respect for, is Jason and Cassie and Greg and the team at True Think Records. They have been very integral in supporting us and getting the word out, and having us involved in their shows. So we've gone on from sponsoring New Dead initially in the initial stages to now co-presenting that kindly with Jason, and we're very, very fortunate for that. And I assume, and I'm quite confident that will be the same in the other states. I have friends in Melbourne, I have friends in Sydney, I have friends in Brisbane, Perth, and the like. So absolutely confident that will happen. The right things at the right time will unfold itself. And it'll happen at the right time as well.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, talking about the 500 odd people that you got on your books at the moment, what's the? A big thing that you're passionate about is obviously helping young people, giving them some direction, some purpose, giving them the support,
definitely,
and then giving them the opportunity to become better people and see that progression and whatnot. But what's the demographic? Like, what sort of age groups have you got here? What's the sort of, roughly, like, what's the split with male, female as well? What sort of people do you get through?
It's a mixed bag. We obviously have a very strong youth focus, but we have, very, very young kids to older people as well, more mature age people. And we want to allow them, no matter what the age is, opportunity to succeed and to live their dreams. So we've had a very, very good friend of mine. I'm going to give him a big, big shout out at the moment. Craig Stevens, which is one of our students. He's been with us for several years now, and he's a lawyer for the Crown here in Adelaide, and it's his release. He comes for vocals and guitar lessons each week, and we've had him rocking out at the Gov, sold out shows there. Doing Rolling Stones, and he loves it, and we love him. It's awesome. We're here to help anybody. No, it doesn't matter what the age is, doesn't matter what background is, doesn't matter, your skill level or anything. We're here just to help you. As simple as that.
And that's probably a really interesting thing because, I guess you've been able to make a living off rock and metal, but a lot of people that love to play music, it's not always the most viable of options if you're looking for financial success and whatnot. So if you want to be a musician, you don't do it for the money, you do it for the love, which is should be the right reasons. But using that scenario with Craig and being a lawyer, what sort of other backgrounds do you get in here? Like, because it's just such a varied. Sometimes it's really surprising to see what other people do.
Yeah, well, we've had people obviously unemployed. I think that's the beauty of it actually, that there's such a diverse clientele that from parents to individuals that have different careers. So we've had the state director for Microsoft in here, for lessons, who now heads up Microsoft in Sri Lanka. We've had a very high up police official from SAPOL here for lessons as well. Computer engineers, IT, sales, doctors, you name it. Yeah, from every background and every really kind of profession, which is awesome.
It's cool.
Great when you're calling in favours.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think it's probably an added benefit to that to have this wealth of people that are supporting you as being clientele, customers that come in and use your services, but also to have this network of people from all different walks of life that all have the same. I mean, they've all got the same love. They love rock and metal, or one or the other, and they love playing music or performing and whatnot. And that's why they're here. So there's a connection there. It's like the one thing that I always was amazed with when I was a kid, and I just started to get into music and whatnot. And like most kids, when you're a sort of early teenager, you're trying to find your place and you feel a bit socially awkward and whatnot. And once the experience of seeing other people in the street wearing like a rock or a metal T-shirt, and you'd sort of just look at them and give them a nod, or you give them the horns or something like that, and suddenly you felt like you were part of this underground secret society where there's this mutual understanding. You didn't have to stop and have a conversation. Sometimes you did, but most of the time it was just a bit of a nod. Definitely. And no doubt you had that sort of thing here where it's like, no matter all these different industries and backgrounds, where if you saw these people on the street in their suits and ties and whatnot, you wouldn't even blink an eyelid. But there's this common link between all these people. It's just so cool.
It's incredible. Yeah.
It breaks down that stigma of what you'd normally think of somebody that likes hard rock and heavy metal. Just going, some deadbeat.
Well, Craig in particularly, I mean, he's, I said to him when he came here for the first time, I'll turn you into a metalhead before you know it. And sure enough, I mean, he actually does dig some forms of metal now. He's a massive, avid Rolling Stones fan, and love that. That's brilliant. Yeah, he's been open to listening to new music because he's been a part of this. But I love that when you're saying, of meeting people on the street and giving them a nod. It really comes back to that camaraderie, doesn't it, of the Australian metal scene. We're very, very lucky in this country to have some of the most amazing talent, including the mighty Lord, if I just add a little plug there.
Thank you.
You owe me a beer, Mark.
Yeah.
But everybody's there to help each other. Yeah. And that's so important. And I think that's where a lot of sort of general people of the population really miss it. Like as we were saying before, they're into metal, they've got tattoos or piercings and, they must be on drugs and nothing could be further from the truth. We're there as a band of brothers and sisters helping each other universally around the country. And that, I don't think you find that anywhere in the world. No. I think we're very, very lucky. Yeah. Very, very lucky. And all the power to every single metal band in Australia. I think you guys are all awesome and doing a massively excellent job. And you should continue to do what you do and do it well.
I think, thank you for the plug as well. I think it's cool because we've sort of been forced in a way, because it's a big country, but it's a small population.
Sure.
And we've been forced, we don't have a lot of opportunity from sort of mainstream media and promotion and things like that. And we've always sort of been an afterthought when it comes to those accolades and that sort of boost that a lot of other music gets. And so we've been forced to sort of be really DIY. Like we've all had to rely on each other. We've had to step out and start talking to other musicians and other bands and working together and trying to find things to help each other progress and get better. So, and I think that is unique in Australia compared to other countries. Definitely. Where there's either more people or there's more competition or there's more larger opportunities where you don't need to rely on yourself. We don't need to rely on the people around you. So we've sort of been, sometimes we feel disadvantaged, but I think it's probably worked to our advantage.
I agree. 100%. 100%. I mean, people go, the metal scene, it's dying, or this, that, and the other. I never thought it's been more alive. It really hasn't. I think you're starting to see metal music and then being so many different genres nowadays, which, I don't know, I'm kind of on the side about that of, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, it's all metal.
Yeah.
And we should all be loving metal. And if you don't like it, one of your friends probably will. But I think, once again, take two. Can't remember where I was going with that. It's short-term memory loss.
No, that's all right. It was the midday beer that we got started.
It
on.
was.
Yeah.
It was. But no, I think I was going to the point where it was. We are very, very lucky. You know, everyone's willing to help each other, and yeah, you never get that. I think that's where I was going with it. You're starting to see a lot of metal music coming to the forefront now,
Yep.
Particularly with some high-profile bands, you know, winning awards.
Yep.
You know, which is fantastic. I think people are starting to be a little bit more open with their musical palette
Yep.
to listen to new stuff. And, you know, I mean, you might not like the rah, rah, rah sort of heavy death metal sort of stuff, but you might like prog.
Yeah.
You might like Lord.
Yeah.
You might.
But I think people
You know what I
probably
mean?
start talking about it a lot more as well. Like if you
Yeah.
think about the traditional work environment, you go and sit in an office job or something like that, and someone asks what you get up
boring
to on
as
the
batshit.
weekend. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. But you know, someone else in the office says, "Oh, what did you do on the weekend?" And you know, you could have been going to a metal gig or something like that. But you go, nothing much. And you just don't want to get into that conversation because. Not that you feel ashamed, but you think, oh, there's no point, or you know what the reaction is going to be from that other person. But I think now that it's more visible, and I think more people are talking about it, I think more people are encouraged to be in those situations where they start going, you know what, I did this on the weekend, or I came to ARMI, and they're like, what's ARMI? Or I went and saw this show, or I performed, or whatnot. And then people start I think it becomes more accepted because people are talking about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
More awareness,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
there?
it. Yeah.
And I'm quietly confident that you'll see metal come to the forefront. I really believe that. You know, I don't think it's impossible. You know, people, you know, need to be educated to know that there is some good aspects and there's some good things that you'll probably like. Like I said, you might not like that, but you'll probably like that. But what I think is really, really cool is starting to see, you know, mainstream music awards, metal bands being recognised. And there definitely needs to be more of that. There certainly needs to be more of that. And it doesn't need to be sidelined anymore. It's intelligent music played by intelligent people and brings together some of the best musicians around the world, you know, to play great music.
Yeah.
I don't know, stop me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like modern day classical, right?
Yeah.
Just with distortion
Yeah, that's right.
and double kick.
That's it.
So
Bit of
you know, I think
education.
a bit of
I think.
education, a bit of awareness about, you know, that we aren't all just meatheads. You know, we're actually quite intelligent people.
Yeah, so it's
somewhat.
that's
Some less
right.
than others, but
Yeah, oh, definitely. And actually, you mentioned before about things that you put on at the Gov, and you've had obviously the master classes. What are some of the events that ARMI's put together or has been behind? Obviously, being sort of co-presenters of the New Dead and whatnot.
Yeah.
What's some of the events that you put together? I mean, obviously, I've seen on the website a lot of sort of live performances. I assume that they've been at the Gov.
They have indeed,
with your students.
Yeah.
What sort of things?
well, as you can see by that footage, you know, we give our students the opportunity to live their dream of playing on a big stage. You know, it's we say this quite often that, you know, Adelaide's never seen a school concert like this one before. If you think this is a boring recital, you're in the wrong building.
Yeah.
You know, bring your earplugs and get your head banging. But the shows, particularly at the Gov or any other venue that we've done that for our students, are our showcases to the public. But we're not expecting everyone to be, you know, top of their A game or, you know, to be the next Joe Satriani or the next, you know, whatever. We just want them to enjoy it, try their best and
Get that
have that experience.
Yeah.
Fortunate for us that we have some of the best talent that I've ever seen in this building. So our shows are just insane. You know, you're getting mosh pits, you're getting, you know, super shredders that are 13, you know, smashing out Van Halen or something like that. You get all sorts of diverse sort of genres of metal being played in those shows as well, so from your sort of softer stuff to your full-on brutal stuff by the end. So, you know, we've had young Jade, who's now, we've put forward for, she's now the singer for local band Freedom of Fear. One of the most brutal metal vocal chicks you've ever seen in your life, slaying out Psychroptic.
Yep.
It goes to come
Yeah.
at our last show. And it's just nuts. I mean, you know that song. That's an insane song. You got the guitarists and the bass players and the drummers all working this stuff out by ear because there's no tabs, there's no tabs for it. So they work that stuff out by ear and get up and slay it on stage, It's just insane. It's awe-inspiring, when you're seeing, particularly even, 12, 13-year-old shredders that can shred right up there with the best of them. There's something about seeing an adult do it, but when you're seeing a kid do it, it's just like, oh man, I just want to throw my guitar in the bin. This is insane, but
I was lucky to know how many strings are on a guitar when I was 13 and let alone how to play it. But I was looking at the posters and I've seen on the website as well the types of people that have been associated with ARMI through like masterclasses and whatnot. Do you want to give me a list of some of the people that have been involved with over the years? Because it's just been...
We've been very, very fortunate. Incredible. I mean, the first instance we did some masterclasses. We supported Thump Music in those as, major sponsors. So we had Paul Gilbert to start with.
Yep.
So a couple of our students had the opportunity to get up and jam with Paul, which was pretty insane. So we had Paul, Joe Satriani, both have endorsed ARMI with videos, of course, on our YouTube, on our Facebook. Guthrie Govan, Devon Townsend, Yngve Malmsteen. We've had, on top of that, we've done our own sort of masterclasses as well. So we've our good friend Daniel Tompkins from Tesseract.
Yep.
We had him here for a vocal masterclass, and he actually wears our hoodie all around the world. It's insane. He's took photos everywhere he is, and he's wearing our hoodie. I'm like, that just spins me out. But absolute gentleman of a guy. Psychroptic we've had here, great guys, and we had a ball. We had a masterclass in this room that you're sitting in now, which is about a 9.5 by 5 meter room for those who can't see it. We did a masterclass an evening with King Parrot.
Yeah.
Now, they're like, do you want us to turn down? I'm like, man, you're in a metal school. Let's crank that shit up, So we had 50-odd people in this room. We did the masterclass with the boys and then cleared the chairs out and let everyone have a mosh. It was 43 degrees in here. The air conditioner wasn't even working, yet everyone was having a mosh and was throwing around water and the whole nines, He's like, Youngie's like, it's right to throw some more. I was like, mate, go for it, dude. Just have a ball, have fun,
Yeah.
So that was a really cool one. Also, we had Plenty and Troy Wright have been here as well for masterclasses. Mate, list is endless. I could go on all day. Yeah.
It's incredible. It's just, to have that extra validation from these masters, these legends in the music world, to be able to be linked to this is, when you started in 2012, or having the idea after having that moment with Steve Vai to sort of seeing where you are now, you must be absolutely stoked that
definitely
all these things have happened.
I really am. More humbled than anything.
Yeah.
I think Connie and I still pinch ourselves, like I said earlier. We watch some of the footage back from our shows and we look at our posters and we look at the building, we look at our staff and how great they are and our students and how amazing they are. And we're quite honestly blown away on how it's been received, Andy. It's, like I said before, it could have been, people saying, who do these guys think they are, and it not have been supported. And it may not have done as well. But it has. It's been embraced, and we're very fortunate that the metal community, not only here in Adelaide but Australia, has embraced us. And we thank everyone for that.
Cool.
We really, really appreciate it. We are very, very transparent and honest about what we do. We just want to help people, like I said, inspire them and make their dreams come true. I'm a very big, firm believer, Andy, that we're all born with hopes and dreams. Right from the minute you're conceived to the moment you're born, and those develop as you get older. Now, it's my firm belief that we're not just born with them for no reason. They're the things that we're meant to have in our life, And once people grasp that concept, it will change their life forever. It's really empowering and really powerful once you discover that. And then once you know that they're there, and unfortunately, as humans, we want things now. We always go, oh, it's not happening. Oh, this band, and I've lost a band member, and just keep working at it. Keep working at it because it will happen. It's the old Decorate commercial, remember?
Yeah.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Yeah, it will. It really will. If you speak it in existence, put posters on your wall, envision it, see yourself doing it. Because to anyone out there who's listening, you're no different from your idols. No different. They're just humans, just like you and I. You know, it's just they had hopes and dreams, and they worked diligently and hard to achieve those dreams. You can achieve greatness and achieve whatever you want in this world, and even if it's not necessarily just music. If you applied those sort of things in your life in general to anything that you want to achieve, you will achieve it. There's no doubt, no shadow of doubt in my mind.
I think you just nailed it on the head, especially what I was about to ask you next, because a lot of people that be listening to this, there's people from all different walks of life, and some people might not necessarily be a big music fan or play musical instruments and whatnot, but given my background and the people that I've been associated with for the last 20 odd years, most of them, or a large percentage of them, are people that have a fascination with music or really enjoy music. And I think most people do to varying degrees. But I guess for the people that aren't in Adelaide and are in other parts of the country, or even people overseas that listen as well, seeing what you've seen over the last several years, and even before that as you were a guitar teacher as well, and then seeing the possibilities and seeing the results of people working hard. I mean, you sort of touched on this already, but what advice do you have for people that are sitting at home that they've got a guitar that's covered in a bit of dust, or a piano that's sitting there that hasn't been used in years, or any musical instrument that's just been discarded that they haven't picked up since they were a teenager or a kid or whatnot, but have always sort of eaten at them that they should do something about it?
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Pick that thing up, dust it off, and get into it.
Yeah.
Particularly, even if you can't come to ARMI, there's plenty of things on YouTube. There's plenty of, that's the beauty of technology these days. You can access anything. But if the only reason that those things ended up under the bed, to be honest, is that they lost the spark. They lost the real drive, or didn't think it was achievable.
Yep.
I can tell you now, with 100% confidence, I'm walking, living proof that this stuff works.
Yep.
If you speak it into existence every day, you hold your dreams and hold them dear to your heart, speak them into existence, envision them, work hard, diligently, and you will achieve it. I'll bet $1 million on it.
Yeah.
That's how confident I am.
Yeah.
And I really, when I say I'm living proof of it, is because my mates still rib me about this, right? It's the old Mr. Schneebly, that whole sort of thing. But to them, it's like a Gillette moment in sport. Yeah. Because I had an injury, as you see, I walk with a cane, and I had an injury and lost that spark, for a long, long time. And never, ever thought I'd work again. And I became one of the laziest people that you could ever meet, with no direction, no drive, no aspirations. This is my lot in life. I'm crippled and I'm not going to do anything. It was what a defeatist attitude to have, and how selfish of me to believe that in the first place. But I'm glad, because I had to go through that to realise that, to get us to this point. And it really took that conscious step, that conscious move forward and leap of faith to want to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But it came back to all those dreams. Yeah. What did I want to do? What was it my lot in life? My parents used to hassle me all the time, get a job. You have to get a job. Yeah. You have to finish school. I didn't want to do any of that, man. I was a guitar player. I came from a very musical background, with all my family line from generations to generations, all the music, and that it was in my blood. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a mathematician. I didn't want to be a fucking doctor. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I'm not ready to be that miserable. You know, I just wanted to be a rock star. Yeah, a musician. Or do something around music. Yeah, essentially. And it really only took that moment of speaking into existence. It took that real kick in the ass, I guess, to go, you know what, get off your backside, get on with it. You can achieve this if you work hard. Yeah. And we did. It's living proof here in this building, My mates laugh at it all the time. It's just a Gillette moment in sport.
Well, I think on that note, we might wrap it up because
Sure.
I think that's a pretty high note. And I guess
Thank you.
I'll put a bunch of links on the website and the show notes of how to get in contact with you and everything like that. But I guess really quickly before we wrap it up, what's the best way of reaching out to you, and
Sure.
what's this place? Where can people find it and whatnot?
www. Is that right? 3 of them.
Yep.
www.armyofficial.com. Check us out there. See what we do, what we've been involved with, where we're going in the future. We're located at Level 1, 98 Gawler Place in the heart of the Adelaide CBD. And all our details are on our website. You can check us out on Facebook. All the relevant, Twitty things and Instagrammy dadas. I'm very Atari 2600, Andy. I'm showing my age now, so technology confuses the hell out of me. But that's where you can find us.
Sounds good.
Jump on the net, check us out. We hope you like what we do.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much, sir.
My
Really
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, next
Cheers.
time. Cheers, everyone. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that one with Christian Broome. If you want to reach out to Christian, have a chat to him, or want to inquire about a class or something more about Australian Rock and Metal Institute, hey, if you live in another part of the country and you like the idea of expanding his business elsewhere and you're legitimate, you're not just full of shit, definitely reach out to him. I'll have all of his contact details over at andysocial.net, and all the resources to what we talked about are on there. I'll have the website there. I'll even find some YouTube videos to put into the show notes as well. What Christian's doing is amazing, and as he said, he's passionate for the style of music, but he's passionate to help people and to give people a sense of purpose, being part of a community, being part of a family, and just making sure people feel worthwhile, feel a sense of purpose and fulfillment, and it's pretty incredible. So massive props to what Christian and Connie are doing over at ARMI, and I wish them nothing but the best for the future as well with what they're doing. And I'm sure that we'll meet up again in the future for a podcast one day down the track and see how they're progressing, and hopefully by that stage they would have expanded and they're even bigger and better than what they're doing now. But definitely reach out to Christian, let him know what you think. As with all of my podcast guests that I've had over the last year and a half or so of the Antisocial podcast, please contact these people. Tell them how much you liked listening to them, and anything that you learnt or anything that you got out of these conversations that we have. This is not just for me. I mean, I'm very selfish. I do this podcast for my own self-benefit to grow and be a better person, but it's also for you guys. And I really hope, if I get messages from people every once in a while that say that they've really learned something, or they've reached out, or because of a conversation they've been able to do something that they weren't able to do before. That is what fuels this podcast. Obviously talking to people and meeting people is fantastic, but geez, that added bonus of having you guys learn something or have an idea appear due to a conversation, or become a better person because of these episodes, that's just the best. I can't even describe how cool that is. So thank you very much. All right, we're going to wrap this one up very quickly. We're getting close to the end of March, kind of, and the Australian Podcast Awards are getting closer to closing for voting. I would love if you could spare a couple of minutes to vote for the Antisocial podcast. I'm in the running with probably a couple of hundred other amazing Australian podcasts, and if you go to castawayawards.com.au and you'll find a link to the voting section, and I'm one of the first couple of rows, or 3 or 4 rows down, and you'll see my little logo there. Please click on it and vote for me. And you can vote for a couple of my mates as well, Screwins and Co Breakfast Show, as well as Pod Kembler. They're great mates, and I've both been on the podcast previously, and I've been on theirs as well, which has been a lot of fun. So please support them. I believe you can vote for more than one. If you can only vote for one, vote for me. Just vote for me. It's okay. The other guys will understand. but please vote for me. I've got some stiff competition there. There's people that are well and truly ahead of me, but people power works. So please get behind it. And even if I don't win the title of most popular podcast of 2017 or whatever it is, it just keeps me in the conversation. It keeps this podcast in the conversation. It exposes it to more people, brings in new listeners, as I'm sure a few of you are listeners for the first time. And if you're still listening to me now, I'm very impressed. But it all just adds to this podcast and makes it bigger and better and helps me do more with it and get around the country and talk to more amazing people like Christian and some of the other incredible people I've spoken to in the past. So thank you for people that have voted already. And please, if you're feeling generous, a couple of quick clicks over at castawayawards.com.au will be amazing. Quickly, before I wrap up, as I have been saying quite a bit recently, if you do want to support the podcast, because there are people that message me going, what can I do? There's a few of you, trust me. And best ways to do it, if you do shop on Amazon, not everyone does, but for the few people that do, you can go to andysocial.net and click on my Amazon portal link. It's a unique affiliate link, and basically what it does is it takes you to Amazon, you place your orders, you shop as per normal, but I get a very small percentage of what you spend. And it's very tiny, but when a lot of you do it, which you have been, I get a nice little amount of money that helps me pay for or go towards some of those monthly podcast fees that I have. So sometimes fixing, upgrading gear, getting a few new cables and whatnot, silly little things like stuff you don't think of, like batteries. Like I go through so many freaking batteries with this podcast. But also web hosting, the podcast hosting, I've got to pay monthly fees for that. And it's not a lot of money, but I don't make any money off the podcast. So if I can get to a point where it's pretty much self-funded, with no profit, because I'm not interested in that. That would be amazing, but I'm not interested in it. If I can get it completely self-funded, I'll be one happy chappy. So that'd be very cool. So you can do that. If you don't shop on Amazon, that's fine. The only thing I ask of you guys, I can keep it nice and simple, is just share the episodes around. So share the iTunes links, the Andy .net links, the YouTube links. YouTube's always a great way to get people into podcasts in general who normally don't listen to podcasts or don't know anything about them. And just love, share, comment, tag on all of the social media posts that I post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and elsewhere. So all those little clicks go a long way because it just helps my posts get into the news feeds of more and more people, and this listener base continues to grow, which it has been. So thank you so much. It's so cool. And that's about it. If you just listen to this podcast and you don't do anything else, that in itself is amazing. And I'm extremely touched and honored and privileged and so proud that people make the effort to listen to me waffle on and listen to me sometimes embarrassingly talk to people that are just so much more successful and intelligent and worldly than I am. And I just hope that over time, some of these little conversations rub off on me a little bit, and hopefully you guys get something out of it as well. So that's it. I'm going to cut myself off. I'm now cut off from the bar. No more drinks. Time to go home. Next episode is next week. It'll be another Adelaide one, a very cool one, very different, very short, but very cool. So until then, thank you so much. Keep sharing around, keep spreading the word, or just keep listening to old episodes. It all helps. It all means a lot. See you later. I'm out of here. You're ready.